to episode 25 of the While She Naps podcast. I'm Abby Glassenberg. My guests on the show today are Cal Patch and Jen Beeman. Cal Patch has been a maker since she was a Girl Scout in the 70s. She sews, crochets, spins, embroiders, knits, prints, drafts patterns, dyes, hence the name of her label, Hodgepodge. Cal has taught all of these subjects for nearly 15 years and currently travels around the United States teaching at retreats like Squam Art Workshops, The Makery, Lucky Star Art Camp, Shake-a-Rag, and Fiber College, as well as local shops and online with Creative Bug. Her specialty is teaching people that they really can make their own clothes that actually fit. After 17 years of being a New York City dweller, in 2009, Cal relocated to the Catskills, where she's becoming a crafty farmer, and you might hear her rooster in the background during the show. Her first book, Design It Yourself Clothes, Pattern Making Simplified, is out from Pottercraft. You can see what she's up to at her blog, Hodgepodge Farm. Cal Patch, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you. Jennifer Beeman is the designer and pattern maker behind Grainline Studio, a line of sewing patterns featuring modern, fashion-forward patterns that will fit seamlessly into your everyday wardrobe. Jen studied fashion design at Columbia College, where she focused on pattern making and technical design, and began working as a pattern maker just prior to graduating, until recently, when she stopped to focus on Grainline Studio full-time. In addition to running Grainline Studio, she now teaches at Columbia College Chicago in the fashion department. For tips, tricks, tutorials, and sewing inspiration, follow along with the Grainline Studio blog, or peek in behind the scenes of running a small pattern company by following Grainline Studio on Instagram. Jen Beeman, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I am so thrilled to have the two of you together to talk about sewing clothes and about pattern making and about how home sewing is changing. So thank you so much for being here. Cal, we're going to start with you. You majored in fashion design in college and then went to work as a clothing designer for some well-known companies, including Urban Outfitters and The Gap. So can you describe what that experience was like and what you took away from that?
Yeah, there's just so much to say about that. But, well, basically, at the time it was my dream job to go work for Urban Outfitters. I always thought they were kind of like unique, and I really loved their clothes. So I worked there for pretty much my whole, my 20s, and it was really fun, but slowly over the years of working in the industry, I just started to really kind of come around to the idea that the whole fashion industry as a whole really just, it's kind of a scam. Because basically the idea that you need to buy new clothes every season and get like the ones that you wore last year are no longer cool is totally really against everything I believe in personally. So it's not to say like at that time I came around to the idea of people making their own clothes and sewing at home being a big movement, because this was long before any of that started to happen again. But I just, I began a process of evolving away from working in the industry and kind of just figuring out my own path, because it just didn't feel right to me. Basically that concept of, and long before anyone said the words planned obsolescence, the fashion industry was operating on that principle for like ever, basically. But then the other thing is that I didn't feel comfortable with the way the clothing was being produced, and the fact that everything's just getting cheaper and cheaper, and the people that are actually making the clothes aren't getting treated fairly, and that whole deal.
So after, it sounds like after, how long were you there? 10 years or less?
I was there for about 7 years, and then I freelanced for other companies like The Gap, for probably 5 years after that.
Okay. So you just sort of, it sounds like, just became uncomfortable with the whole sort of structures that were in place there. And then you struck out on your own. You had a retail store for a few years in New York where you sold the clothes that you were making as well as clothes made by other indie designers. And I'm guessing that, that experience of interacting with customers and with designers was a pretty valuable one too, and informed the work that you do now in sort of a different way. So do you want to talk to us a little bit about what that was like?
Sure. And I love you do such good research. It kills me though that this was all before like the internet was invented. So I regret that I don't have more pictures of my store. My store was a really fun place, and it was just so beautiful, the actual space that I was in. And I just regret that I don't have a ton of photographs. I guess somewhere I do, but they're like printed, and I need to like find them and scan them. But anyway,
what was your store called?
It was called Patch 155, which was the address. And it was in the Lower East Side of New York City, which at the time, and this was, I opened the store in 1998, and then I closed it in 2002. It was a very edgy neighborhood, you could say. Like, it was literally on the edge of civilization, really. Even though it was in Manhattan, it was pretty far removed from like a street that anyone actually walked down. So basically I opened this store, and I had actually never even worked in a store before. So it was totally an experiment. And I also didn't really have any merchandise when I opened, because I knew that the kind of people whose work I wanted to sell just, they weren't going to be at trade shows or like anywhere I could find them. And again, this was pre-internet, so you couldn't really find people so easily. But sure enough, just like I hoped, the designers would just kind of find me and come to me and show me what they made. And it was really fun and exciting. And like you said, I did love working directly with customers, and, people could come in and try things on. And it was just super, super fun. And though I did learn that sales is not my strong point, and actually the physical, like, day-to-day experience of running a store was really not for me. But I kind of had a feeling, I didn't necessarily think I would have a store the rest of my life. It was something I had dreamed of doing, and I'm really glad I did it and kind of moved through that, and I learned a lot. And now I don't really have the desire to have a store anymore.
You got out of your system, but right. But such a different environment than working for sort of corporate fashion.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, because you're buying from makers themselves and selling to people who really value that, who are willing to travel to the part of Manhattan that most people don't travel to, and probably pay for something that's really handmade.
Of course, now it's a super hip neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah, at the time when I could afford it, it was like before it was up and coming.
Right. So then you went on to teach. It sounds like sort of that as your primary focus. You co-founded a craft school called Make and started teaching there. And now you teach all over the country. I feel like you're always at a retreat somewhere on Instagram. And your book, Design It Yourself Clothes, and your creative bug classes are really focused on teaching people pattern making so that they can come up with a pattern that really fits their body and that helps them make the clothes that they really want to make. And I have to tell you that your book was such an inspiration to me. My second book, Stuffed Animals from Concept to Construction, has sort of the same goal in mind, which is teaching people to design their own patterns based on their own ideas and making those ideas come to life. So thank you for that, because it was such a, when I saw it, I was like, see, this is what I want to do, but about dolls.
Aww.
Totally. So can you talk a little bit about why you focus on teaching and what you learn from your students?
Yeah. I love teaching, and it's not really something I ever thought I was going to do, but it was actually when I had the store that I began teaching, because in the beginning, it just seemed like a good way to kind of get people into the shop. And, people would walk by and look inside and see that no one was in there, like especially in the winter when it got dark really early. And I was like, how can I just get people in here? And people were always telling me they wanted to learn how to crochet, they wanted to learn how to sew. So it just seemed like a natural evolution to start showing them. And then that just really kind of took off for me, because I found where selling is not something I'm very good at, teaching, I think I am pretty good at it. And I think mostly it's because I'm good at breaking down the thought process and the actual steps that you need to do and explaining it in a way that makes sense to someone who's never done something before. So I love teaching, and I do always learn new things from my students. And the pattern making came about because people had been asking me for years. Like, I was teaching sewing classes, and personally I didn't really do a lot of sewing from commercial patterns because, again, at the time there weren't really sewing patterns that I actually wanted to make. Most of them were, just simplicity and McCall's and all that stuff, and they just weren't the kind of clothes that I liked. So I was making patterns for my own clothes and clothes that I sold, but I was teaching people to sew, but there was kind of this disconnect where they were like, this is great that I can sew, but I want to make this kind of, cool dress that I have in my head, but there's no pattern for it. So it just sort of, really my whole life has been like an organic evolution of things that I don't plan, but it just happened that I finally gave in. And at first I thought I could really never teach people pattern making because it's kind of a weird thing. Like, I'm interested to hear what you would say about this, Jen, but when I learned it in fashion school, the way they taught it to us was kind of outdated, and it was all very abstract. Like, we didn't really we definitely weren't making clothes for ourselves, and we didn't even really know who we were making them for. Like, we had these slopers, and they were given to us, which are just like basic patterns, and the concept of like someone's measurements or the actual body that you're making things for, like, we just made things for the mannequins, basically, the dress forms. So I kind of kept thinking like, well, I don't know how I could teach pattern making. It's so abstract and weird. Meanwhile, I was making all these patterns for just very simple clothing, which is really, when you look at it, the clothes we all wear today are quite simple. So one day I just said, okay, I can do this. I can show people the way I do it, and that will probably satisfy a great bulk of their needs. And then, if they want to go to FIT and learn the really technical nitty-gritty of it, they can do that too.
I wonder how your professors from back then, right? I don't know if you're still in touch with any of them or not, but I just wonder, it just makes me curious, like, if they saw your book and they saw what kinds of workshops you're working on now and the way that you're showing sort of, regular hobbyists, everyday women, how to draft a pattern that fits their own body, that's a real body, and not a mannequin. And I mean, what would they say about that? What would they think?
I would love to know the answer to that. I've not heard from anyone I used to think about it a lot. Like, I wonder if they'll notice, but, it was so long ago that I was in school. So I mean, who knows? Anyone who would notice or care is probably like beyond caring.
Right. But I just wonder if they would think that, like, I don't know, like, was there sort of a snooty feeling like, you can't teach it in such a sort of, I don't know, simplified way that makes it so anyone can do it, like, sort of an elitist feeling?
Maybe. I really have no idea. It's a funny thing. Like, this morning when I was thinking about, some of the things we were going to talk about, I was thinking how, like, I would love to kind of secretly go back to fashion school and, like, take pattern drafting classes and, like, experience it again from my new perspective, because I would just, from what I've heard, it doesn't sound like things have changed all that much. Again, I'd love to hear Jen's perspective on that, but I just really feel like there was a huge gap between the way, at least the way I learned it, and the actual practical application of it when you think of it in terms of home sewing. I don't know. I don't know what they'd say.
Yeah, that's interesting. And Jen, I do want to go back to your background a little bit, but maybe we should just have a few minutes for you to think about those ideas too. Would you agree with Cal that the way that it's taught in school? I mean, it sounds like you went to school a little bit more recently. So have things changed? What do you think?
I don't think they've really changed. I mean, we spent like the first entire day of class learning how to cut a line properly. And then after that, like the whole first semester of that pattern is just like you don't make a thing really till like the end. And it's, again, not for you. You just manipulate a dart every single possible way you can and make like a half shell. So I think it's the same.
Interesting. That's so interesting. Yeah, I didn't go to school for what I do now. I'm a teacher, so I went to school for education, graduate school at least. So anyway, it's just so interesting to hear. Like, but I'm guessing that the concepts, right, are still applicable. Like, you're going to use all those different kinds of darts at some point.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally. No, it's just nice, like, because then when you encounter something out in the wild or whatever, when you're working, you're like, oh yeah, I know how to do this. But at the time you're like, what the hell? Like, this is so boring. You're just, moving a dart around.
Right. Totally.
Yeah. And it's all for the mannequin. And like, you get the fit model in like 2 classes before the end of the semester. And of course it doesn't fit them because, you've been working off this mannequin, and like working on the mannequin is not the same as working on a human, because they have like a funny, I don't know. They're not very human-like in reality. So that was always funny.
Yeah, totally. And you're not making clothes for yourself, which is interesting too, because that's so much of the focus of what both of you do now. I mean, not just for yourself, but for other people, but regular people. So Jen, let's do a little bit about your background. You, as we just talked about, have a degree in fashion design, but it came after an undergraduate degree in photography, which I think the two of those things together is just sort of an amazing thing for the internet. And you also worked for other larger companies designing clothing patterns before striking out on your own. So what was your job as a pattern maker like? And tell us about Hound.
Oh God, yeah. So I was a pattern maker mainly for one company here, and then a little freelance stuff. And it was a custom like bridal place, and so every person that came in got their own pattern, and it was a real, like, I got the job before I graduated. One of my teachers wanted out of the job, so she gave it to me. And I was like probably not really prepared for an actual job at that moment, but I took it anyway. And so it was a real like crash course in fitting actual people of like many, many sizes. So that was pretty eye-opening as far as like, oh my gosh, I'm not making this for a mannequin or a size 2 model, and it has to fit, and I need to have this done by like lunch. So that was kind of crazy. But
it sounds too like the other women, the seamstresses who worked for the bridal company were these like incredibly skillful people as well.
Yeah, they were amazing. They were all from like Eastern Europe or Russia, and a lot of them went to school over there to become like highly skilled seamstresses. And the things they could sew just still blow my mind. It was amazing.
Tell us about Hound. Was that after the bridal shop?
That was at the same time. When I went back to school, I thought I wanted to like be a designer or something. And then I realized that I was really into the pattern making part. So I started focusing on that, and then I'm not good at working for other people. And I thought I wanted to move to New York at first, but after going to visit and doing a little internship, I couldn't deal. It's so fast and so stressful, and I'm not good at being stressed out. So I was like, well, I'm not going to go there. So I'll just try to start my own thing. And so I started Hound. And it was a lot of fun, but it was really stressful because the overhead you need to start a clothing line is kind of insane. And then it got to the point where I was sewing, doing the pattern, like everything myself, where I needed to outsource like the sewing. And I probably could have kept doing the pattern making, but it was to the point where I needed to be like the business owner / designer and let somebody else do that other stuff. But that was the stuff I liked doing. So called it a day on that.
So you had like a whole line and were like ordering fabric and making actual clothes and selling those clothes.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It's a big venture. And I think it's interesting too that, sort of like Cal, you guys both, I don't know, kind of have tried different ways to express this sort of deeper love of making clothes and making patterns. And I think it really speaks to the idea that like, you don't have to know right away how you want to express it, but over time, by experiencing all these different outlets, you realize what is right for you and what feels good. And, so I think you guys, it's so interesting to see both of your different paths. So then you started your blog, Grainline Studio, and I feel like that really helped you shift your career focus and, become an independent designer. Am I telling that right? And was the blog a stepping stone for you?
Yeah, it was. I started it because when you're a pattern maker, you don't design anything. You're handed a sketch and you make the pattern for that sketch. So I was feeling like not super creative for a while. And I just wanted to start making things again for myself. So I started my blog and just started doing that. And then randomly people started asking for the patterns because I guess I wanted to sew them. And so that's how Grainline, the pattern company, started. People just wanted the patterns. So I thought, oh, sure, yeah, I'll put that out there. And it went well. So it was totally random, like didn't plan that at all.
So what was the first one?
It was the tiny pocket tank.
Okay. And what happened? So you made it, made it as a PDF and you put it up for sale. And what was that like? Like what happened next?
It was terrifying. So I put it up for sale and people bought it and it blew my mind. And then people blog about it and then other people buy it and it just, kind of takes off. And then everybody was asking me, when's your next pattern? What's your next pattern? When's it coming out? So I made the Scout tee and then just kept doing it after that. So
that's amazing. Yeah. So how long has that been now since the first one till now?
Oh God, I think the first one came out in 2011 and then the next one after that was maybe 2012. And then, I really started focusing on it more seriously, in 2013. So
it's been a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's important to point out. So now you've also branched out to print patterns, which is super exciting. My local quilt shop, Gather Here, just posted a photo of your new shirt dress that they just made. And it's just so cool to see it everywhere, and you've also just officially moved your studio outside of your house. So I guess why print patterns when you had the PDF business already up and running, and why the studio move too?
Well, the printed patterns were, people wanted them. I got a lot of emails from people, shops who wanted to wholesale or people who just wanted to buy them. A lot of people don't like taping together a big thing of 50 sheets of paper, or don't have access to a copy shop to do it. And it's actually more expensive to buy the PDF and then go to the copy shop to print it than just buying the printed pattern. So that, and then it's also nice to wholesale and see your things in shops. And
are you working? Are you working with a distributor, or are you just doing it direct to shops?
I'm just doing direct to shops right now because
awesome.
Yeah, I'm hopefully going to get into that in a little bit, but I just need to do one thing at a time.
Totally.
Yeah, in the studio, I've been working from home. My apartment's small, and my boyfriend moved in, so something had to give. So I moved out.
Good for you. That's so cool. How far away is the new studio?
It is like 5 minutes. It's pretty close.
That's perfect.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
It's under construction right now, so we'll see.
I'm sure it's been crazy. So I wanted to ask both of you before we move on to our recommendations, of which we've got a bunch of great ones, but I wanted to talk a little bit about how you think home sewing has changed and is changing, over the last 5 or 10 years, and what you feel like is different about kind of this moment in home sewing as opposed to, home sewing a few decades ago or even 2 decades ago. What are people looking for now, and how is the industry responding or not responding? So I just wanted to sort of think about that a little bit, about the meaning that sewing clothes has for people in 2014. Cal, do you have any thoughts about that?
I could talk all day about that. But I mean, on the one hand, I wasn't really involved in sewing from, like the actual home sewing world. Well, I'm thinking like in the 80s and 90s and probably even do we call them the aughts? I never really got down with what we call that decade. But that was kind of the whole time where I was, I went to fashion school, I worked in the industry, and so I don't think I really ever even came across a sewing pattern. But my understanding and observation of those past few decades is that it seemed to me like the sewing pattern world just really did not keep pace with the actual clothing manufacturing world. And I think most people were moving away from sewing, like I think in the 50s and 60s, maybe even in the 70s, people were sewing a lot at home. But then, there was the whole like feminist revolution, and nobody, people felt like we don't have to sew our own clothes. We're not going to stay home and cook and sew and do all those things, which is funny because now, I don't even want to get into the whole feminism thing because I'm certainly not the person to really talk about that. But anyway, I feel like maybe up into the 70s, the patterns actually fit with what people wanted to make and wanted to wear. But then there was this kind of whole void period of like 20 to 30 years where the patterns looked like they were 20 or 30, like they looked like the 50s or something, and they were styled really unattractively, and which it's like no wonder no one wanted to sew because the patterns did not look appealing or hip at all. So that seemed to coincide. I guess the industry just didn't know what to do because people had stopped sewing, but they certainly weren't going to lure them back with the patterns. Anyway, so the whole, like in the recent, I don't know, I'm not really sure when this started to happen because it was such a slow, well, I guess it's quick. I don't know. Timing is very hard to figure out, really. But like with the dawn of the internet and the indie craft movement and new indie sewing patterns starting to happen again, I guess it all just goes hand in hand. Like it's hard for one to lead the other. I think they both feed each other. Like Jen said, when you made your first pattern and then people blogged about it, and which makes other people want to make it, it's like this beautiful, like, worldwide community thing that can create kind of a snowballing effect, and like we all just want to make all the things because we see them and they're cute. And
I feel like the fabric companies in some ways are sort of responding. Like I feel like there's more knits and there's more voile, like some of, art gallery fabric, some of the quilting cotton companies are sort of seeing that other substrates are going to be attractive to people who want to sew garments and are branching out. Do you feel like that's happening?
Yeah, I think so. I know, like Dear Stella is coming out with a shirting line really soon, and it's like everybody's kind of just getting on the like clothing sewing wagon, which is really nice. Because especially like here in Chicago, you'd think there'd be a lot of fabric stores, but it's like one fabric store besides Vogue. So yeah, it's nice that people are, thinking about garment sewing when they're making their fabrics now.
What do you feel like is going to happen to the big pattern companies, the big four, Simplicity, it's really big two, Simplicity and McCall's, like, what's that going to look like down the road? Do you feel like they're keeping up now, or, are they realizing that it's back and, kind of styling their clothes and creating patterns that are more hip? Or, I just wonder what sort of predicting what is that going to look like down the road?
I think they're definitely trying. I know like McCall's and Simplicity just got like Instagram accounts, and they're definitely like trying to like make more appealing patterns, I would say. And I know they're also, McCall's at least is starting to, well, Simplicity did this with Lisa of Oliver and Ness with the Lizette patterns, and I know McCall's is starting to like talk to indie designers, like they're doing Megan Nielsen maternity patterns right now, so they're definitely trying.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. It's really changing, and the fact that now independent people who have talent and skill can create a pattern and sell it directly to the consumer. Like what happens to them? What happens to the big companies? I don't know. I'm not sure. For right now, I think they're still here for sure. All right. I think that it's time to move on to our recommendation list. Both of you have submitted some really terrific lists of things you're loving right now, and I pulled together a list of mine as well. So we're going to jump into those. And Cal, we're going to start with you. And your first pick is for an app for a smartphone called Timer Cam.
Yeah. So I don't know, maybe everybody already knows about this concept, and I'm sure Timer Cam is not the only one, but it's the one that I happen to use. And basically, the way I've been taking my photos for years, and I will give a disclaimer that I'm certainly not claiming to have really good photos in any way, but the one thing that I think works really well for me is when I use my real camera, I've always just used the self-timer and a tripod, because I find that even though my boyfriend who lives with me is a professional photographer and people often think he takes all the pictures, if he's involved, if he's standing there behind the camera, it's like I totally feel self-conscious. I don't know what to do. And he starts getting into his like photographer mode, and he's like, chin up, turn your head this way. Like start getting mad at him and scowling. The whole thing just falls apart. So the only way it works for me is with a tripod and a timer, because I find I can like stare off into the woods with these dreamy looks on my face if I'm alone and no one can see me, but otherwise there's no serene moment. And I know, Jen, that you mentioned this on your blog too.
Oh, yeah.
But so then when I started using the phone more recently, like for Me Made May and things like that, I'm like, well, how does everybody do it with the phone? Like, I either can't hold the phone far enough because the length of my arm is not nearly long enough to get my whole outfit in, or I'm like propping it up. But the timer cam allows you to be a self-timer. I'm like, why doesn't the iPhone have a self-timer built in? I don't know. But the timer cam lets you use it as though it has a self-timer. And I actually just ordered something that I learned about on your podcast, Abby, and I forget who recommended it, but it's the Gorilla Pod, which is a little mini tripod for your phone, but it hasn't come yet. But I think between those two things, it's going to revolutionize my photos.
Oh yeah, that's totally great. Yeah, I think it was Kim Worker who recommended that. Yeah, that's really cool. So it's like a little tripod that has a little extension or little piece on it that accepts the iPhone, so you can easily, you don't have to use what I use, which is masking tape, taping my phone to a lamp so that I can take a video or whatever. You can actually have a real thing that holds it correctly. So that sounds really cool. I don't know why the iPhone doesn't have a self-timer in the, that seems, like an oversight for sure. And is it free? Do you remember if time?
It is. It's, at least I have the free version, and as usual, I think you can upgrade to a paid version and it removes the ads or something, but I don't really spend enough time on it that I even see the ads. So like when you're taking pictures and, running back and forth, like you don't notice ads. Right. So it's not a big deal.
Totally. Okay. That's a good one. Jen, you wanted to talk about a tool that is a buttonhole chisel made by Bernina. This looks like a great tool.
Yeah, I think a lot of companies make them. That's just the one I have. But yeah, to open your buttonholes, it's just this little chisel and a little block of wood, and you just chisel right through the buttonhole. And then you don't have to worry about, if you use a seam ripper, you can rip through and ruin all your hard work on the last step. And, getting a scissor in there is also a pain. So it's just one of my favorite tools.
And you don't have to hit it with a hammer, right? You just push it down?
Yeah, you just push it down. It's like a little knife chisel and just right through.
That's so cool. And I don't know enough about buttonholes to know, but does it need to be in different sizes?
It's small enough that, like a pretty small button, I think it's like a 1/2-inch button or something like that, is bigger than the chisel. At least with this chisel. So I don't do a lot of teeny tiny little buttons. But most of them it'll be fine. On the larger buttons, you'll have to do it twice because it's smaller. But yeah.
Cool. Do you use one of those, Cal?
No. I actually avoid buttonholes like the plague. And I was just admiring your new, I'm blanking on the name, but the cute dress pattern, and just thought, that is so cute, but all those buttonholes, I don't know that I would ever do.
I know people are always so afraid of buttonholes, or they just hate doing them because I don't know. I have a foot for my machine that it's like a one-step buttonhole. It just does the whole buttonhole. Then I chisel it open, and I have a foot that sews on the buttons. So I'm like, yeah, this is great, But if you don't have that stuff, I would probably never do it.
I almost never do it, I have to say, but I do have that same foot. And when I do them, I'm like, this is magic.
Yeah,
I do definitely feel like I love this. This is so amazing. But then it'll be like a year before I decide that I'm going to actually do anything with a button again. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, it's like that sewing dread thing. It's like you just amp it up in your head and it's so easy. But, once it's in your head, oh, this is going to be a pain, then it is until you do it. At least for me.
Totally. Yeah, I'm inspired now to try to make something with buttons, because you're right that it isn't actually all that hard at all. In fact, it's really easy and kind of like magic. So
yeah.
I wanted to talk about a really great book that I just finished. It's called How to Catch a Frog by Heather Ross. Have you guys read this?
No.
So, Heather Ross is an amazing designer. She designs beautiful fabrics. She's a surface designer and does other things as well. But, I've admired her fabrics for a long time. I started my blog in 2005, and I remember them even back then, on like the 30 sewing blogs that there were, people were going crazy for them. And so, but I didn't really know that much about her. And then I heard an interview about her maybe a month ago on the Thread Cult podcast, which I really recommend that podcast as well. But I especially the interview with Heather. And so she talked about this book that she recently wrote, which is her memoir. She has two other books that are both craft books, but this is her like a book that's kind of a nonfiction memoir book. And so I picked it up and I just finished reading it, and it's just wonderful. Like, it was one of those books I didn't want to read because I didn't want to finish it. So she grew up in rural Vermont in the 1970s, and she has a twin sister, and they lived with their single mom in basically like self-imposed poverty. Her mom was kind of a hippie and moved to rural Vermont with kind of like a hippie group who then eventually all left, and she stayed, and they lived in an uninsulated schoolhouse in Vermont, and nearly froze like in the winters. And her mom wasn't really ready to be a mom. She was really young and had these twin girls. And she just tells the story of her childhood, of being self-reliant, of living in she describes it herself as a really dysfunctional family. And that sort of made her resist authority. And she loves to swim, and she describes swimming in Vermont in a way that's really beautiful. So anyway, at the end of each chapter, there are how-to instructions to make something, like how to keep your food from being eaten by bears, or how to make a beanpole teepee. And in that way, it's like another book that I loved, which was A Homemade Life by Molly Weisenberg. I don't know if you've read that one, but that was a really terrific book, and she tells the story of her life, and at the end of each chapter, there's a recipe. So Heather's book is similar, but at the end of each chapter, there's a project. And the project is just, like a few paragraphs. It's not like a lot of photos or anything like that. It's not a craft book. But the book is peppered with Heather's illustrations of nature, which are just totally charming and so great. So she talks sort of toward the end about starting her design business and failing, and then starting over again and finding her husband and then becoming a mother. It's just so great. I really recommend it. And it's a Melanie Fallick book. And it's just out now. So if you are interested in Heather's life or in design or handmade business, I think you'll really like it. It's a great summer read too.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, Cal, we're back to you. So you wanted to talk about James Hill and his ukulele version of Billie Jean, which I just watched this morning. And I can see why you want to talk about it. So
yeah, okay. So I'm learning to play ukulele, which, much like everything else I think I've mentioned, was not a plan. It was sort of a spontaneous thing where a friend of mine just like put one in my lap and said, "This is what you do." And next thing I knew, I was playing music, which I've always regretted stopping or quitting violin in the 4th grade because we moved to a different school that didn't have orchestra. So anyway, I always thought I'd love to play music, but I think it would be way too hard to try to like learn it all over again now. And anyway, the ukulele is a super easy gateway instrument to get you. You can be playing very quickly. So anyway, part of my friend's campaign to get me to want to play was she showed me this video, which just totally blew my mind, because if you think ukulele is just like Tiny Bubbles and Tiptoe Through the Tulips, James Hill is just like a musical genius, and the way he can play all these parts, so it sounds like there's actually 3 or 4 people that are playing a piano and a bass and a drum and a ukulele or a guitar. It just blows my mind. And I've watched it so many times, but I never get tired of it. So you really just have to watch it to see what I'm talking about. But
it is amazing, and it doesn't sound at all the way you would think. Like, you're surprised that it's Billie Jean. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's almost hilarious. You're like, oh my God.
I don't even like the song Billie Jean. I've never been a Michael Jackson fan, so it's not even about that for me at all. It's just like, I cannot believe that one guy and one ukulele is making all those sounds and all at the same time. It just me.
That's awesome. And good for you for learning the ukulele as an adult.
It's really fun. I know it's like all the kids are doing it these days, but I can't help it. It's totally fun and everyone should do it.
All right, Jen, you wanted to talk about Attenborough's life stories, which is part of nature. And I feel like, I forget what his first name is. Is it James? David. So his voice is like the voice of nature when you watch nature on PBS. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's been doing this for so long, and you watch these episodes from when he was a really young guy. Mm-hmm. And now he must be like in his, I don't know, late 70s. It's just really amazing.
Yeah, I grew up watching nature documentaries, and so I've seen a lot of his documentaries, and when I'm just like spacing out after work or whatever, I love to, turn on a documentary about owls or something. And so he's always the one doing these, so it's really interesting to just follow his life and, where he started. And I think he was like in like junior high age or high school age when he started like getting into this. And I mean, they would do like expeditions to like jungles to collect like species for like display in London and stuff like that. And it's just crazy to watch how it's changed and how different what he does now is from what he did then. And it blows my mind. I've watched the series a few times now, so I'm just rewatching it now, which is why I thought of it.
It kind of reflects back to us the way that, American society has, or I guess Western society has approached our relationship with nature, because it sounds like in the very beginning he was really kind of like bringing back specimens, sort of the old way of displaying nature for the masses. And then now it's very much focused on like ecology and, and the environment and looking at the environmental damage that's been done and how to correct it. Yeah.
Yeah. And he says like, I can't believe we were doing these things we were doing, but they didn't know at the time. But yeah, it's really, I just find it like so fascinating. I don't know.
Yeah. And it's someone who spent their whole life, working on this. And where is he from originally? Is he Australian or?
I think he's from England.
England. Okay.
Yeah.
He's got a great accent.
He does. I mean, anything he narrates, I'm going to watch. Animals is even better because I love animals. But yeah.
Totally. You hear his voice and you're like, calm. I don't know.
I know. It's so relaxing after a stressful day. It's the best.
Okay, cool. So I wanted to talk about a favorite Instagram account of mine, and it is Rachel Ryle, Ryle. Have you guys ever watched any of her Instagram videos?
No.
Oh.
Okay, so you got to watch them because she's amazing. She just does these, I guess she's been doing them for a year. I really don't know anything about her. I should probably do a little more research, but she does have a website, but it's just links to all of her videos. So she does these stop motion animation videos on Instagram that are amazing. She just uses, and I don't remember how many seconds you have on an Instagram video, but it's not many. Is it like 15 or 20, something like that? And she uses those seconds in the most wonderful way. She cuts paper and draws illustrations and then, does stop motion animation with them and tells a little story, basically. And they're just completely smooth and perfect. I mean, I don't know how many hours it must take to use Instagram that way, but I think it's sort of one of my favorite ways I've ever seen Instagram used. So look her up and follow her. She doesn't post a ton of them, but you can just go back through, a year's worth of archives and just sit and watch them and be amazed because everyone is perfect and they're just little treats, like little perfect treats of stop motion animation. So, all right, Cal, we are back up to you. And you wanted to talk about Nature Box.
Yeah. So, for people who live in like a city or a place with really good grocery stores, this might not be of interest to you, but as someone who did live in a big city with all the fancy food for many, many years and got very used to being able to just walk out my door and get whatever I wanted at any time, to now live in rural New York where cars do go by, but it's about a 25-minute drive for me to get to a grocery store, and I work at home all day, so I don't really have to leave the house that often, and I am constantly looking for snacks. And if left to my own devices, I would pretty much just eat cookies all day long, but that's really not good for us, in case you didn't know that. So I think on Facebook, somebody posted a link about this thing called Nature Box, and it's like, you go on their website and they have all these great snacks that are also really healthy. I mean, there's a range of like more healthy and less healthy, but overall they're like made with nuts and honey, and there's cookies and there's all kinds of good stuff. But in general, it's just like the kind of stuff you would get at a really great health food store, but I don't have one of those anywhere near me. So I love the kind of surprise element of getting this box of fun snacks in the mail every month, even though you can either do it totally as a surprise, or you can also go in and pick. So now I tend to curate my snacks a little more. 'Cause there's some like things that go in that like salty corn chip direction are not really I like things like the maple chipotle almonds or something like that. But and it's really reasonable. It's like, I think it's $19.95, for 5 bags of snacks, and the shipping is free. So it's like a really good deal. And for me, it just works really well with my life and my limited access to good, healthy, fun snacks.
I can just imagine myself, like, when the box comes, just be like, woohoo, my snacks came.
I would eat them all in one sitting. It's so embarrassing. I know I would.
Open all my snacks.
I've always been really good at rationing things out. Like, I always had my Halloween candy until, like, Easter. So
oh, my gosh.
It works really well for me. But
this is an important thing to know about you. Wow. Yeah, I'm like I have 3 kids, and my theory with Halloween candy, like, people do kind of different things. They do this Halloween candy fairy, where you get to eat a little bit of it, and then the fairy comes and takes all your Halloween candy and, like, swaps it out with a toy. Yeah, I'm not into the fairy. So I just feel like I just let them have at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no rationing. There's no, I'm just like, eat it all. Like the first week, just go nuts.
Yes.
And then just eat all of it, and then it's gone. Like, I just like... Yeah. I'm just kind of like, here you go. Like, the door is open. Just eat it. I don't know if that's the best theory, but that's what I do. It kind of reduces fights. I'm just like...
My parents would let us just eat it all, and then we'd just, like, shove our faces for, like, a few days, and we were so tired of it, I don't even think we'd finish.
Yeah, totally. That's what happens. And we donate the rest to the school, and they send them... Well, they say they send them to the troops. I don't know if they do or not, but that's what we do. We just pack it up, and right when they're done, they're like, I don't want it anymore. I'm like, perfect. Take it away. Yeah. That's my coping mechanism to, like, 3 kids worth of crazy Halloween candy. All right. So since we're on the food kick, Jen, you wanted to talk about a Trader Joe's deliciousness called fig butter. I haven't had this.
I was just eating it last night while I was making this list. Because I'm a huge snacker. If you didn't get that from me wanting to eat all the snacks at once, I would like trade my meals to just be able to eat like all day long, nonstop, a little bit. But the Trader Joe's fig butter, it's like, I love figs. I love dried figs. But sometimes you want something with peanut butter. And it's just like, I don't know. I love it. I had it the first time like a few months ago, and I've just had like a nonstop jar in the fridge ever since. It's like, I don't know.
There's just certain things about, like, Trader Joe's is so brilliant because they have these certain things that you can only get there that you just love that are, you know, like, I feel like anyone who lives anywhere near a Trader Joe's has these one or two products that they're like, you have to get the Trader Joe's thing, you know, whatever it is, you know, and they don't sell it anywhere else. It's like you just have to go there and get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's really into that cookie butter stuff, but I'm afraid of that. I don't think I should ever put that in my mouth because, well, number one, I don't know if there's cookies in it and I'm celiac. But number two, if I taste something that tastes like cookies and there aren't cookies in it, it's all I'm going to eat the rest of my life. So,
yeah.
I can't go near that.
So what is that? It's like cookie dough butter?
I don't really know because I'm afraid to find out. I'm afraid I'll like it and it might be something I can eat and that my diet will just that'll be my entire diet. Like that's all I'll eat.
That's what it is. I can understand your fear.
Yeah, I don't look at it. I keep going.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Like, spreading cookies on bread is the last thing I need to know about.
Yeah. Well, like, and then imagine if you put fig butter on, it'd be like a fig Newton, right? Like, wait, I don't know. Less healthy, more healthy? I don't know. Probably about the same. But
is the fig butter like, is it like that peanut butter and jelly swirled in a jar stuff? But
no, the goober. No, it's just like fig jam kind of. I'm not sure why they call it butter. Really,
there's not peanut butter in it.
No, it's just like fig preserves.
Okay.
But it's pretty tasty.
I need that.
Yeah, it's good.
You need to call Nature Box and tell them to add that to your box.
I do get dried figs from Nature Box because I feel like I never see dried figs anywhere and I love them. So I actually have them listed as my, like, send me these every month.
They're so good. It's like,
I know.
But it's actually just a fig.
I know.
It blows my mind.
It's just from nature. It's so good.
The only place I can find them here is at Whole Foods, and they're so expensive because they're like organic, free-range figs, or I mean, you know, like every label you can possibly put on it. It's like, yeah,
free.
So I think this about wraps it up on the fig note. But it's been so much fun talking to you guys, and just thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
so
thanks.
Yeah, it's just awesome. So you've been listening to the While She Naps podcast. I'm Abby Glassenberg, and I invite you to visit my blog, whileshenaps.com, where you'll find helpful information for creative entrepreneurs, as well as tutorials and patterns for making stuffed animals and dolls. If you enjoy the show, tell a friend about it. Thank you so much, and see you next time.